Hello, everybody. It is February, and it is time, finally, for my January collection update video. We have Crystal here again.
Hi.
She will be chiming in whenever she has something to say about any of whatever we have in this video. There's a little bit of everything again. I got a lot this last month, so I just decided to do a video for January specifically. So we'll start off with, there is technically a DVD this time. A couple DVDs, and then a couple Blu-rays, and then CDs, and then video game stuff. There's some extra stuff in the video game section, like there always is, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, we'll start off with our DVDs and Blu-rays. First up, we actually have an anime I technically already own, but I rebought again because reasons, and I'll explain those reasons here when I introduce the show, or this anime. It is actually Love Hina. This is a different box set than I already own. This is the Anime Classics release, a later release from Funimation, who actually did the release I also have. It was their very first release from like 2009. I was still in high school when that one came out. This is from a couple years later. That's the only other DVD release that you can get at a reasonable price. You can get the original release from Bandai for some price that I don't know about. But the reason I got this again is because I kind of wanted to rewatch it, and I remember the original DVD that I had, or have, excuse me, at some points has really, really bad audio quality, like just for the dub specifically, because I watch dubs. So I got it because I remember the audio quality being terrible. I had to like turn the volume on my TV like super high up, and it still sounded weird, and it had, I swear there was an episode that actually had like a slight buzzing noise in the background. So I was like, well, I don't want to do that again and deal with that. That's just terrible. They had to have fixed the audio quality. So I bought this, and it turns out it's literally the exact same thing. I put this in to check the audio quality, and it sounded fine. And then I put my original DVD set in one of the same DVD just to test it, and it started playing from exactly where I stopped on this one. So they're literally the same discs. So I don't know if the audio quality is going to be terrible, or maybe it was just the TV for some reason, but I swear I had it happen on multiple different TVs. But I was like jumping through and doing different episodes, and it all sounded fine. So I don't know, I could just be being weird, but I know I remember that very specifically. I do really like this anime, so hey, you know what? I have it again, and like, this one looks a little bit nicer, I guess. Unfortunately, it was never released on Blu-ray, but that's okay. Cool to have again, though. Then up next, we actually have another anime, and it's actually a movie that I didn't think I'd ever really find. I mean, if I really would have looked hard enough, I probably would have been able to find it somewhere for a decent price. I only ever saw it in a store one time, and I actually saw it at one of the local retro game stores I go to. They sell DVDs now. A lot of anime. So I saw this, and I'm like, well, it's really cheap, I'm buying it, because it's the only thing from this show I'm missing. It is actually the Yu Yu Hakusho Poltergeist Report movie. This is actually the only Yu Yu Hakusho related thing that Funimation doesn't have the rights to my knowledge. And I don't know why. I tried looking it up, and it's a licensing issue, and I don't know why the company that has this is still holding the license to something that they can't do anything with, really. So, I don't know. But hopefully someday in the next 20,000 years, Funimation will get the rights to this and they'll dub it. Just like they did with the original movie and the Aizo Hakusho OVAs that were dubbed by Funimation like years after they finished the series. I remember seeing both this and the original movie years ago in their original dub forms. This is still the original dub form, obviously. The original one was dubbed by like famous LA voice actors, like Steve Blum was in it, a bunch of other people were in it, but they redubbed that one. They haven't redubbed this one, like I said, but this one actually has a really weird voice cast, like, it's got a bunch of random, like, Pokemon voice actors, like, Eric Stewart is Koenma, I believe, in this, Brock is Koenma, and then Ash is friggin', Botan. So it's really weird. I can't remember any of the other voice actors and actresses in this, but this is a full-length film, like it's 90 minutes, as opposed to the 30-minute other movie. I remember watching this, and it was pretty good. I watched it online years ago when I originally watched Yu Yu Hakusho. It's cool to have, at least. I will say that. I'm really happy that I finally have this, because that means I basically have everything Yu Yu Hakusho. So, really, really cool. cool to have. Then we have a couple Blu-rays here, and it's a couple that I found for, well, one of these I found for super cheap, and the other one I've been eyeing for months. The first Blu-ray we have here is one I've been told by many people is very, very good, and very meta, really. So I've been wanting to see it for a while, and I finally found it for like $5. It's actually This Is the End. I've heard very, very good things about this movie, and literally everybody plays themselves. They don't play a character, they play themselves, but I assume they're like over-dramatized versions of themselves. Been meaning to see it because everybody says it's really good. Like quite a few people have told me this is really good, so I really need to see it. It's basically a apocalyptic movie, so it ought to be pretty funny. Or catastrophic action movie, kind of. Really cool. I can't wait to watch this, definitely. It'll be really cool. And then finally, a movie, like I said, I've been eyeing for a long time. I entirely meant to go see this in theaters. Crystal and I both meant to, but we never did. And it's a Marvel movie, and it's one of the few, it's like the only one I haven't seen, no, excuse me, the only one other than Thor Ragnarok I haven't seen. It's Spider-Man Homecoming, the first Spider-Man made by Marvel. Yeah, I've wanted to see this movie since, you know, he was in Captain America Civil War and stuff. Because he was in it, and I'm like, okay, they did a really good job with the character, even though he's not in it for that long. I want to see what they're going to do here. Plus, it's got Iron Man in it and stuff. My only gripe with what they're doing with this Spider-Man is that Aunt May is so young. She's supposed to be an old lady, and she's like not even middle-aged. So, I don't know. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. If they make it work, I don't care. It's Marvel. But, oh, I didn't even realize that he's hanging upside down on the back.
Oh.
I know Crystal really wanted to see this movie too.
Yeah.
Very cool to have. We need to watch this. This is definitely at the top of my list of stuff to watch. I just realized the O in Homecoming is the Spider-Man logo. Very cool. Can't wait to see it. We now go on to CDs. We start off with two classic metal and rock albums. And I'm putting this first one in classic because it's from the 80s, and it's classic metal to me because it's from a while ago. So it's actually Kings of Metal by Manowar. This is a metal band from Florida, I believe. Fun fact, these guys are actually the Guinness Book World Records holder for the loudest band ever. So, and they hold the longest recorded concert. They played for like 5 hours one time, so... Anyway, this is one of their older albums from 1988. This is Kings of Metal. The reason I bought this album is because the original guitarist for this band, he goes by the name Ross the Boss. He has a band with that name. That band, his Ross the Boss band, is playing Prague Power. They're opening Wednesday night, and they're playing a all Manowar set. So I basically looked up, okay, how long was this guy in Manowar? What albums did he do? And there's 6 of them in the span of 6 years, which is pretty crazy. This is the last one he did with them, Kings of Metal. I just randomly picked one. It's okay. It's some good classic metal. It's not terrible. Songs on here I like. I remember Wheels of Fire being pretty good. Heart of Steel was good. Sting of the Bumblebee is just Flight of the Bumblebee or whatever it's called. The bonus track here, Pleasure Slave, has a bunch of porn noises in it. Hail and Kill is pretty good, but it was all right. This album was okay. I'll definitely I'll probably buy at least one more album of these guys. I'm not 100% sure, most likely, but it was cool. Not bad. Some good classic metal though. Then we go on to a pretty classic band, and honestly a pretty classic album. This is Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. This is a re-release of some sort. This weird, so thin. But I bought this, and it came from Britain, so it took a while to get here. I actually bought this back in December. I basically had to pick between this and The Wall, and I just picked this one because I really liked Wish You Were Here, the song. And I was just like, why not just get this one? I didn't realize Shine On You Crazy Diamond was on this album. I also didn't realize it was 2 like 12-minute songs at the beginning and at the end. Those are both very good, and then Wish You Were Here is a fantastic song. Welcome to the Machine is a really classic song for them too, but it's just... I don't even know if I want to call it a song. It's just a random space noises and then the dude going, "Welcome!" Not really, but he's just singing over like ambient sound. Really, I did enjoy this. I need to get The Wall because I mean, Another Brick in the Wall, Comfortably Numb, you know, classics. So I definitely got to get that. I would say this is better than Dark Side of the Moon though. Dark Side of the Moon for some reason severely disappointed me, and I probably will get a lot of flack for that, but still, pretty good album. Pink Floyd, classic band. Then we go on to the more modern CDs. There are a few of these. There's a few prog power bands and a few random ones that I bought. First up, we have one I've been eyeing for a really long time, about 2 years now. It's actually Tara Maze's newest album, Her Halo. I actually have another Tara Maze album, Anhedonia. I thought that was pretty good. This album is far superior. They completely changed their sound for this. They definitely... I read a lot of people said it had like a Seventh Wonder flair to it. I don't entirely see that, but it's definitely better. The singer is far better. Musically, these guys are on another level. They're actually working on a new album, so I can't wait to see where that goes. But this is a phenomenal album. A lot of these albums are really good that you're going to see here. Basically, I don't think there's a bad song on here. Everything is good. An Ordinary Dream, En La Momento, To Love a Tyrant, Her Halo is amazing, probably the song on the album. Out of Subconscious, For the Innocent, Trapeze, Broken, and Delusions of Grandeur. All very good. I cannot wait to see what these guys do next. This album is really good, and it didn't let me down. I built this thing up to be awesome, and it definitely met those expectations, and then some, probably. Very, very good album. Tara Maze. Very good. Then we go on to a band that this album surprised the heck out of me. This is a prog power band, and it's their newest album. This is Monumentum from the band Eclipse. They would be classified as an AOR band, or album-oriented rock. Kind of like Journey-esque is the #1 example people say for AOR. But they don't really, like, a lot of AOR bands don't really sound like that. They're a little heavier usually. These guys were announced. I heard the sound clip, and I'm like, alright, these guys sound pretty good. I'll check out at least one album. And oh boy, this album surprised the heck out of me. This is some solid music. This is another album that was pretty much every song on here is fantastic. Their singer is great too. These guys I'm super hyped for now after one album. Songs that I like out here, all of them. Vertigo, Never Look Back, Killing Me, The Downfall of Eden, Hurt, Jaded, Born to Lead, For Better or For Worse, No Way Back, Night Comes Crawling, and Black Rain. They're all really good. This album is from 2017. It's their newest album. They have like 5 other albums, and there's only like 2 more that you can even get on Amazon. The other ones are you either have to resort to like eBay or pay some outrageous price. So I have to get more of these guys. I will definitely be getting more of them. They sound very, very, very good. Definitely worth a check out if you like just good old hard rock. Yeah, hard rock is a good example of what these guys kind of sound like. Very good. Up next, we have a band that played prog power in 2015. They were actually a replacement for a band that canceled. It might have actually been Tara Maze. I'm not 100% sure. This isn't their newest album, it's the one before. It is Unleash the Archers and their album from 2015, Time Stands Still. This was on my list because I didn't realize they released a new album this last year in 2017, so I picked this one up. This cover is fantastic. I want to think that's some sort of demon escaping from like a planet. I don't understand exactly what's going on in this, but it's pretty cool looking. This is good old power metal from Canada, actually, and the singer is female, which is cool. She can sing her butt off. Oh my god. She can sing. She's got some range. My only gripe with this band is that pretty much every song starts with a giant power metal scream, pretty much. And I mean, that's not bad, but it's just like, does every song have to start with that? Otherwise, this is a pretty solid album, too. There are some death growls with this band, very little, though. I don't know about their earlier stuff, though. I've heard their new one's really, really good. But we got Northern Passage was good, Frozen Steel, Hail of the Tide, Tonight We Ride, Dream Crusher, Going Down Fighting, and then Time Stand Still, and then the bonus track is a video edit of Tonight We Ride, which was the single from this album. But very, very good album. I like this one a lot. I'll be checking more of these guys out. They only have like 2 or 3 other albums, so it won't be that hard. Plus, they just released a new one, so yeah. But good old solid North American power metal, which I don't say a lot, so that'll be cool. That'll be cool to hear more of these guys. Then we go on to an album that completes my discography for this band. It's actually a re-release because their original release of this album was out of print and kind of expensive. It was the only one I couldn't find at the time when I had to see them at Prog Power in 2016. I found out they were re-releasing this album and I was so happy because it's the only one I hadn't heard. It's the first Pyrames, Melancholy Beast. Like I said, it's a re-release from 2017. It has their original singer, who was also on the second album, Legend of the Bone Carver, Lance King. In comparison to all their other albums, is it better or worse? I'd put it... I don't think it's as good as their second album. So I wouldn't say it's the weakest album. I don't know. It's really hard to say because all their albums have a... I don't know how to explain it, but this was a solid album. It wasn't bad. Songs on here I like. Sleepy Hollow, Melancholy Beast was good. Until We Fade Away, Legend, Power of Imagination. Good album. Good album. I'm happy to finally have the entire discography so far for these guys. I await what they make next because their newest album was amazing. But really good. I'm happy to finally have this. Good old progressive power metal. Pyrames is a great band. I like these guys a lot. This cover's interesting too. I don't even know what that is, but it's really cool. Really good album though. Then we go on to another prog power band for this year. It's a band I've actually heard of before when I looked up another band from the last time I went to Prog Power in 2016. It is actually Bloodbound. This is their newest album, War of Dragons, released in 2017. Of course, a really cool dragon on the cover. Really cool. The reason I'd heard of this band is their original singer, Urban Breed, now sings for Sirius Black, who played Prog Power in 2016. So they were on my list to check out, and then they were announced. They have a new singer now, so they don't have Urban Breed anymore, obviously. This album was surprising too, not on the level of the Eclipse album, but still really good. Songs on here I like. It's actually a 2-disc thing, I'll explain that in a second, but songs on here I like: Battle in the Sky, Tears of a Dragon Heart, War of Dragons, Stand and Fight, Fallen Heroes, Starfall, and Dragons Are Forever has a great chorus. The second album is just called Songs from the Vault, from 2010 to 2016. It's just demos of some of the songs from previous albums, but seeing as I don't have any of the previous albums, I didn't really feel like listening to them. Plus, demos don't usually sound that great, so it's cool to have. This was actually a really good album. Obviously going to be buying more of these guys, definitely. They're probably the best pure power metal band that I've heard so far, and they'll actually be a little bit more. Or for prog power that's so far, you'll see the big one here at the end of this section that I think these guys are honestly better than. I'll probably get flack for that, but my opinion. Up next, we have a band that was supposed to play Prog Power this year, but they canceled just a few weeks ago. And boy, am I disappointed, because it was my most hyped band, period, for the entire festival. They have multiple flawless albums. I already went off on a whole tangent about Phlegethon, so if you remember last month, it's King Crow. This is the album after Phlegethon and before the first album I got, Eidos. This is In Crescendo. This album is also very good. There is not a bad song on this album either. I believe this album is about getting pregnant, or falling in love, getting pregnant, and having a kid. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. But literally there's a baby's handprint and a baby on the cover. Another very, very, very good album. Do I like it as much as Phlegethon? No, but it's still very good. Every song is good on here. Right before This Ain't Another Love Song, The Hatch, Morning Rain, The Drowning Line, The Glass Fortress, Summer 97, and In Crescendo, the title track. This is another really great album, really good prog metal. I love this band so much. They have a new album that's supposed to come out this year, so I am eagerly awaiting that. Anything before Phlegethon is pretty much impossible to get, so I doubt I'll be able to get anything from before Phlegethon, but if I can, or if I get my dad to do it or something, or help me out, that'd be cool. But otherwise, I just eagerly await the new one. It's titled The Resistance. I'm still really upset these guys canceled. No replacement has been announced yet. It's been like 2 weeks. But hopefully whoever they get to replace them is good, at least. We'll find out. Still sad that I'm not going to be able to see them. But they played Prog Power before, and they did specifically say that they would have King Crow back at some point. So I'm not that concerned. I will get to see them. Very good album. This is probably album of the month. And then Eclipse, honestly. But very good. Then we go on to another band I completed the discography for. I mean, it's only 2 albums of theirs, because they broke up. It took me a while to get this one. It is actually the last revamp, Wildcard, released in 2013. I didn't realize it was that new. Which is right about when the lead singer and founder of this band, Floor Jansen from After Forever, joined Nightwish as a guest singer, and then fully joined the band like a year or 2 later, and then basically disbanded Revamp here. So this is their final album. I have the original, the self-titled. I got it years ago. It's in one of these videos from like 2012 or 13 or something, I think. But really good to finally have this one. Fun fact before I go into the songs I like, the CD is Floor Flippin' the Bird. So that's pretty interesting. I actually think the under the CD as well as her flipping the bird. Yeah. So I don't know why they did that, but hey, whatever floats your boat, man. Anyway, songs I like on here: On the Sideline, The Limbic System, Wild Card, I Can Become, Misery's No Crime's pretty good. There's a couple songs on this album that are kind of, I guess they call it parts of the same song, called The Anatomy of a Nervous Breakdown. They're okay, but they're okay, I guess. But this album, I actually probably like the first one better, a little bit. And this one has some growls. And actually, Floor growls on this album, which is crazy. She can do everything. She can sing opera, she can sing, and then she can growl. She's 6 foot something. She's an Amazon, and she can apparently do everything. So, but unfortunately, this band did break up. But she's in Nightwish now, and that Nightwish album she did with them, Endless Forms Most Beautiful, is very good. So, hopefully, we get some good stuff from them. Otherwise, really cool to finally have this. Then we go on to a legendary prog rock artist. It actually is Neil Morse. This is his album from 2007. This is called Sola Scriptura. That actually stands for Scripture Alone, I believe. It is a concept album about the life of Martin Luther, the founder of the Lutheran religion, and yeah, basically the really famous religious figure, Martin Luther. This is it's a heavily religious album, because this was after he had his religious, I wouldn't say conversion, but he basically became a born-again Christian kind of person. So there's a lot of religious messages in this, and I'm not big on a religion thing, but musically it sounds really good, and he can sing, and it's just a good album. Fun thing about this album, though, is that there's technically only 4 songs. They're all really long, and these are all parts of these songs. Track 1, The Door, is 29 minutes and 44 seconds long. Track 2, The Conflict, is 25 minutes. Then you got the only normal length song, Heaven in My Heart, at 5 minutes and 11 seconds. And then the last song, The Conclusion, is 16 minutes and 34 seconds long. They're all really good songs. Like, musically, all of it flows together. Very good. If you're a religious person, this might be a good album for you to check out. It's not quite my cup of tea, but I like Neal Morse a lot, so I bought it just on a whim. It wasn't bad. I'll definitely buy more of his stuff, even the religious stuff, because musically he's talented. So this is a good album. Again, not my cup of tea, and it's cool though. It's cool to have a concept album about a religious figure. You know, that's kind of cool. Anyway, and finally, the last CD we have here is actually the headliner for Thursday night this year at Prog Power, and they also headlined the entire Prog Power Festival Saturday night in 2015. It is actually Angra, their newest album until the 18th of this month of February. This is their newest album. This is Secret Garden. It was released in 2015. It is also their first album with their new singer, who is also the singer for Rhapsody of Fire and stuff, Fabio Leone. These guys are, they're considered they're an older power metal band. They're considered one of the, I wouldn't really say grandfathers, but big power metal bands. They're South American, except Fabio is from Italy, I believe. I'm not big on Fabio's voice, so it's not as good as I think it should be. I know people are really big on this band. Musically, it's amazing. And they're heavily folk, like South American folk influence, so they have these random, like, South American folky breaks. I remember Crystal was there when I actually listened to this album. She probably doesn't remember it too well, but I just remember these South American, like, instrumental parts, and it was really cool. Musically, these guys are definitely very talented. I just don't like Fabio's voice that much. I don't know what it is about him. But, like I said, this is the big power metal band that everybody likes, and I prefer Bloodbound. But it wasn't a bad album. I'll definitely buy more of them. I have to, because it's Angra. I gotta give them a couple chances. But there were some good songs on this album. Newborn Me, Black-Hearted Soul, Synchronicity 2, which is a cover of The Police, which wasn't actually that bad. Secret Garden, Perfect Symmetry. Pretty good. Their new album comes out on the 18th of this month. Unfortunately, other than the new one and the one before this one, their albums are kind of difficult to get, so we'll see how that goes at getting them. I'd like to check out some of the more classic ones, because everybody's like, oh my god, their first two albums are masterpieces of power metal, so I gotta at least try to get those. Really cool to have, though. Really cool to have Angra. Yeah. That is it for CDs. We now go on to video game related stuff, and this is probably where Crystal's finally going to chime in.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
She didn't listen to a lot of these CDs with me, and then the DVDs I haven't even watched, so she doesn't have a lot to say about them. But we start off here with a couple of extra things. There's no Amiibos this month for the first time in a while.
A long time.
Not really. It's usually every couple months or something. But anyway, we start off with a couple things that Crystal's coworker actually gave us. Her coworker went to Korea.
Because she's Korean.
Before we met her, I think.
Yeah.
And she brought these back and then gave them to us because I guess she didn't want them. They're little Pokemon plushies. They aren't that good a quality, but they're still kind of cool to have. It's.
Well, I think they're okay quality.
But we got Charmander here. He looks kind of. He's kind of
so
flat.
fat.
He's fat and flat.
And flat.
And he's a keychain, I guess. I guess they're both technically keychains, but these things are heavy. Why would you want these things on a keychain?
Well,
surprise!
Some people put them on backpacks.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But we got Charmander, which is one of Crystal's favorite Pokemon is Charizard, and I think her coworker knew that, so she gave her this. And she actually gave me Bulbasaur.
I like the Bulbasaur one better.
And mine actually has the tag, and it has that. I just like the Pokemon spelled in all these colors, and Korean on the back. If anybody can read that, let me know what it says.
It probably just says like Pokemon.
But the reason she gave me this one is because I got the Build-A-Bear Bulbasaur last month, or the previous month. So, really, really cool, though.
Get a full 360 of that.
And the bulb actually looks decent, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a bulb.
I think it looks better than the Build-A-Bear one a little bit.
Well, the Build-A-Bear one just looks like this.
Yeah, but really cool. They're pretty cool little plushies to have. Anyway, next up, we actually have something Crystal bought because she has a problem. Because we don't even
have a problem.
Because we don't even have a game in this series, but because of who
I like
it is,
collecting the figurines.
but because
I like
of who
collecting
it is,
figurines.
but because of who it is, she had to buy it. It's actually a Crash Bandicoot Skylanders from I don't even know the newest one. Yeah, it's the newest Skylanders. This is the Crash Bandicoot from that. He looks good. There was a Cortex one. I wish we would have gotten that too then if we were going to get Crash Bandicoot. But
I like the art style of his face.
it looks good. But it's just like, why get a Crash Bandicoot Skylander if we don't have Skylanders?
I like the figurines.
I buy amiibos because I can use them, even though I don't open them anyway. But
You basically collect figurines, Devin. You don't use them.
But anyway, it's cool to have Crash Bandicoot because he's awesome. Then I actually got a couple of controllers here. Funny story about this first one. It's actually a PlayStation 1 DualShock controller. This thing looks pretty much perfect. Like, this thing looks like it was barely used. It's in pristine condition. Like, there's nothing, no blemishes, no nothing. It looks like somebody didn't even use this or used it like once or twice. I got it at a Goodwill for like $6. And it works really good. And that's awesome. Or it's probably less than $6. It's probably like $5. But still really cool. I'm happy to finally have another PS1 controller because I only have one technically. So, good to have another one. Then we actually have a Christmas present from my friend Phoenix. I expected it to be a joke again because he likes to mess with me, but it turned out to not actually be a joke. It's a really cool controller here. It is actually a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch controller. It looks a lot like the Pro controller, but it's smaller. This thing looks really nice. It's got the nice little design all over it, and the gold and the Zelda logo. It's small. It's a lot smaller than the Pro controller, and the joysticks can pop off. But otherwise, it works really well. It is actually a wired controller, though. It's not wireless, so it has this nice cable. I had a little bit of issues plugging it into the top because the plug is inside of a hole, so it's like down in there, and I think that's stupid. It should just be on top, not in a hole like that. But otherwise, it works really well. It works a lot better than the Wii U Link controller that I have that's really bad. But really cool. Then we go on to actual video games. And there's a few here from multiple different places. First up, I actually got a couple case upgrades. Back in November, we got a couple games at the Retro Game Store that didn't have the original cases with them. So I bought the original cases. We have a case now for Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, which came in an original Pokemon Ranger case that wasn't even a real case. If that would have been a real case, I would have bought the cartridge for the original Pokemon Ranger as well, but it wasn't. So we have a case for that. And then we have, unfortunately, it's a Nintendo Selects case for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, but it's a case nonetheless for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. So we have cases for both of these, which is awesome, because I hate not having cases or real cases. Moving on, we actually got a couple games on Steam again. They were both a late Christmas present from my friend Philly. He got me 2 games. The first game is called Karma Flow. It's called like the rock opera video game. The reason I wanted it is because it has a bunch of famous like European power metal musicians in it, either musically or voice acting wise. It's got like the singer from Epica, from Sonata Arctica. Those are all the ones I can remember off the top of my head. I believe the chick from Delane is also in there, that's right. I know absolutely nothing about the game, so I don't have a lot to say about it, but it just looked like it was something cool, and it was like $5, so he bought it for me. The other game that I got from him is actually a game I've been playing quite a bit lately. It's a little game called Use Your Words. I've been playing it with friends a lot because it's a game show video game basically, where you all go separately on a web browser and create a name and get in the room, and then you basically it's designed for in-house multiplayer, but you can, using different ways, do online multiplayer. Like they'll have to watch you through Skype or over a stream or whatever. I think they need to fix that and make online multiplayer. I don't see why it would be that hard, but it is what it is. But it's a really cool game show game, and it gets ridiculous real quick. Crystal absolutely loves the game. She probably wants to play it more than I do.
Yeah.
But it's a game I'm hoping to actually have as a series on this channel at some point. I actually did record some videos that I said I was going to upload in the random I Suck at YouTube video. And for some reason when I went to edit them, my Sony Vegas, which is what I used to edit, didn't recognize the file type that it was. And I tried converting it and doing all this, and none of it worked. So I just said, screw it, we'll just start over. Which sucks, because there were some really good jokes in there. But it is what it is. I'll be alright. Hopefully we can have some videos for that on the channel. But it's a really, really fun game that I've played with a bunch of my friends. Crystal's coworker. It's great. It's a great game. It's good. It's a good party game. I can say that for sure. Like, if you're having a party at your place, the game's only like
25 minutes? Maybe 20? For one round?
For one round, yeah, for one full game. The game, price-wise, is only like $15. So it's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive. And it's a fun party game that can be awesome. And you can use your phone to play it, so it's not something that you need a computer for or anything. You can play it sitting in the same room. Just use your computer monitor. Somebody has to be on the computer on Steam for it. But use your computer monitor, plug it into the TV, it don't matter. But it's really, really cool game. So, really cool to have. We actually go on to the physical games now, finally. There's a few of these because Crystal and I actually took a bunch of DVDs, Blu-rays, and video games to sell to the retro game store up the street. And they gave us like $80 in store credit for everything, which is pretty good. So we picked up a few games there. And then there's some she ordered on Amazon, and then one we found at Goodwill. So we'll talk about all of them now. First up, we're basically gonna go from oldest. I don't want to say oldest to newest, but you'll understand. We'll start off with some PS1 games. First up, we actually have a game I used to have, and I sold, and I've been wanting it for a while, and I saw that it was a decent price at the retro game store. It's actually Rugrats in Paris, the movie, the game.
Yeah, when Blockbuster was still a thing, no, Hollywood Video. I rented it from Hollywood Video.
Did you get it on PS1 or N64?
PS1.
Okay, because this is the exact version I had. So I now have all 3 of the Rugrats games I had when I was a kid, because I bought Studio Tour not that long ago.
Oh, yeah.
I did pop this game in, and the controls are still kind of terrible, but they're not as bad as the other 2. And I remember playing this game quite a lot. I did actually play the N64 version at like a cousin's house quite a bit. But this has mini golf as well, and I used to play mini golf all the time with my friends and with my grandparents actually. Honestly, I don't remember a lot else about this game. Wait a minute, yes I do. The stupid Chucky karate thing.
Oh, that!
Oh my god, I remember that.
I hate that. Holy.
That's all I remember. That's about all I remember.
Chopping with Chucky Chan.
Oh my god.
That's what it's.
Oh my god. But
anyway,
really cool to have this.
That karate thing.
Yeah, it's Rugrats. Who cares? I've wanted it. It was super cheap, so I bought it. But really cool to have again. Then we have a game. This one was a little bit expensive, not super expensive, but it's one I've heard really good things about. Unfortunately, I don't know a lot about it, but it's a long game, apparently. It is Legend of the Dragoon. I've heard good things about it. My friends have talked about it, but I know next to nothing about it. I do know that it's 4 discs, though. So it's a long game. Really cool game to have. I'm happy to have it. It's another RPG I'll probably never play. But really cool. I do want to play it at some point, because why not? Really cool. Nice PS1 classic. Then we actually have the game we found at the Goodwill, and it's actually...
It was like $4.
It was like $3. And it's a game I already have, but it's actually Halo 2 for the Xbox. Now, why am I showing this in a video? Because it's the original copy of Halo 2, the original release. And I don't know if you know this. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in my Xbox collection video. But they actually mass-produced the collector's edition of this game, so it's more common than the regular one. Not to say the regular one is uncommon, it's just less common. So what I actually did is I made sure this game worked, it does. And then I sold my collector's edition because I don't need 2 copies of this game. And yes, I probably could have sold this one for more money, and I don't know how much more it would have been, but I'd rather have the more uncommon one. Plus, it's the regular box, and I honestly think that the Xbox boxes look pretty cool. So, really cool to have. I don't think I've really extensively played this game too much, but it's Halo. One of these days I'll play all 3 for whatever they're at, $5.69, I don't know. Really cool though. We found it at Goodwill for insanely cheap. Another cool Goodwill find. And we actually went back just recently to that same Goodwill, and they had like 2 more copies of this game. Next up, we have more of the games that we got at the Retro Game Store. The last 2, actually. We only got 4 of them. We actually have a game that she wanted, so I bought it for her. It's actually Sonic Colors for the Wii. This is supposed to be a relatively good Sonic game.
Yeah, it is.
Have you played it?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
But, because Sonic can go from good to bad pretty frequently. This is supposed to be a decent one. I don't know anything about it. Do you know anything about it, Crystal?
Not that much.
Alright, all we know is it's supposed to be pretty good, so hopefully it's actually good. But really cool to have. It's Sonic, and you can't go wrong with a decent to good Sonic game, so cool to have. And then we actually have a game I've been wanting for a little while, because I actually really like the Mario Tennis and Mario Soccer and baseball games. It's actually Mario Sports Mix for the Wii. I have wanted to play Mario Basketball for so long, and they had the DS one, but I was like, that's a handheld, I don't really care. And then they released this on the Wii, and I never got it until now. It actually doesn't just have basketball. It has dodgeball, volleyball, and hockey as well. Volleyball, Crystal says volleyball is really good too. She says basketball and volleyball are the 2 best ones. Apparently she's actually played this game.
Yeah, I played it with my nephew because he had it.
Oh, okay.
And we would always play the volleyball one. And I think the basketball one? I can't remember.
I like I actually popped the game in.
I just remember volleyball being really intense.
I actually I popped the game in and played the basketball, and it's pretty crazy. I didn't really play. I played the volleyball one. It was pretty fun too. I haven't played dodgeball or hockey yet, but still, really cool to have the only other Mario sports game that probably matters. But really cool to have this game finally. Then we actually go on to the rest of these are actually games Crystal bought on Amazon with a gift card that my dad bought and gave to her for Christmas. A funny story about the last one. There's 4 here. First up, I'm going to let Crystal do most of the talking about most of these. But the first one is actually Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch for the PS3. Yeah, it's the greatest hits version, but whatever. It also says Blu-ray disc right there. Oh, they all do. Apparently
They
the
all
PS3
do.
apparently
Yeah.
PS3 games are Blu-ray discs. I had no idea.
They've always said that.
I never noticed that.
That's why it's like a Blu-ray box.
What I want to know about this, though, is that there's a bunch of French all over this game. So I wonder if this game was made by... Well, no, it's a JRPG, isn't
No,
it?
it's a JRPG, yeah.
Yeah, but there's just...
There's just a lot of French for some reason on the box.
I don't know. But I don't really know a lot about this game.
I saw PewDiePie play through it like a
okay.
long time ago, and I was like, hey, that looks real interesting. And I was waiting for the price of this game to go down, because it was expensive at first.
Okay.
It was like $70, $80.
Wow.
So I'm just like, okay, let me wait for a while.
And it was finally a reasonable price, so she
Yeah.
bought it. Didn't they just announce a second one?
I don't know.
I swear they just announced a second one of these just recently. I'll have to look that up. There is a second one. It's called Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, and it actually comes out at the end of March. So it's way past just announced. It's about to come out. Really cool to have this. I mean, she bought it, but I mean, I've heard of this game and I've heard it's really good, so cool to have. I get a Miyazaki, look at this cover. I get a Miyazaki kind of vibe from the cover.
Yeah,
Or Ghibli vibe. I was right, the animation was done by Studio Ghibli, so that explains that. But really cool to have. Very nice. Then we actually have another cult classic from Atlas. This is another one I'm sure she got because of PewDiePie. It's actually Catherine.
yeah.
That cover, though. Anyway, it's a weird, like, isn't it like a platforming puzzle game? Isn't that what this is?
Basically.
It's basically about a guy that cheats on his girlfriend Catherine with another girl named Catherine, but they're spelled differently, one with a K, one with a C. So it's this weird psychological action platform adventure puzzle game thing or whatever. But I don't really know a lot about this game. But this
I know
game's,
people speedrun it.
this game has held
but-
this game's held its value for a little while too. So.
Yeah, I had to wait for a reasonable price for this.
Yeah, but it does have a speedrunning community. I know that. And it's Atlas, and Atlas is notorious for making weird games. So, but really cool to have this one too. Very nice. Then we actually have a game Crystal bought because she wanted to play one of them, and it's actually a game I've been meaning to play as well, or a game series I've been wanting to play for a while as well. It is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the Wii U. Yeah, technically Monster Hunter World just came out for a bunch of different things, and it's supposed to be really good. But she wanted this one, and if I remember correctly, this one was really highly regarded as well.
Oh yeah, that was super cheap on Amazon. It was like $8.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Really cool though. Really cool. I've been wanting to play Monster Hunter for a while, but most of the earlier games are super expensive. So it's you basically have fight a bunch of giant monsters, and you can't go wrong with that. I actually think it was before Shadow of the Colossus. I believe the first one was on like PS. Well, it only says Monster Hunter 3, but I swear it was on the PS2 or something was where this started. So really cool to have. Yeah, good old Japanese monster hunting. Really cool. And then the last video game we actually have here is a must-own for the Wii U for a limited time because they just announced it recently for the Switch. And it's funny considering the whole story behind getting a complete version of this game. It is actually Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Wii U. The sequel to Donkey Kong Country Returns. Funny thing about this game, Crystal bought it on Amazon thinking it was the whole game, but it ended up being just the disc.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to buy just the case for it, and the first thing I bought was actually a fake case that the guy made for people who just wanted cases for their games. And the guy said he didn't want to do returns because he's tired of people thinking that they're buying the whole game and then turning around and just getting the case and getting mad about it. And I'm like, well, mine's a little bit different. I actually wanted a case for it, but I just didn't want a fake case for it. So I took the loss, and I was able to find the full game with the case, with this case, for just a little bit more than I paid the original thing for. And what I did is I took the lesser copy of the game, whatever looked worse on the underside, and I put it in the fake case and sold it to the Retro Game Store in that group of stuff that we sold. And they make their own cases for games that don't have cases, and they don't mind just taking empty cases for games. So it's not like I did something immoral there. I didn't like cheat them out of money because I gave them a legitimate copy of the game. But really cool to have this. Unfortunately, they did just announce it for the Switch right after this all happened.
The day after I bought it.
No, it was like the day after the whole fiasco of me getting all the crap for this.
Oh, that too.
They announced it. But really cool to have, though. It looks like Cranky Kong and Dixie Kong are in this game, too. So, really cool. Really cool game to have. Crystal really wanted this because she likes Donkey Kong Country Returns a lot. So, really cool, though. That's it for video games. There is one special thing. I guess it's video game related, you could say. It's something I didn't think I'd ever honestly own. But Crystal, for some reason, had an impulse buy at a pawn shop and bought this. It's a PS Vita. Unfortunately, we didn't buy any games for it yet, so we have no collection for it. But it is a Vita. The screen's a little dirty, as you can see. But really, I never planned on buying a Vita, to be honest, because the library is so eh. There's a few good games, but it's few and far between. I think she spent a reasonable price on this, though, because it came with some extra stuff. It actually came in this really nice case.
Yeah.
And then it has, inside the case, it has one of those plastic shell things. And it actually came with two 4-gig micro SD cards. And like a manual and a a glass cleaning thing, and it looks like that's it. But basically, I'm pretty sure that just with the memory sticks, if we tried to sell this with the PSP and the memory sticks, we would get our money back with how much we paid for this. So, it's really cool to have. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say about it because we can't really play it because we don't have any games. But it is a PS Vita, and I have another console, so that's pretty cool, or a new handheld. I'll have to buy some games for it. I don't know when, because I don't know. But really cool to have. Random buy from Crystal, but it ended up being probably a cool thing. So, really cool to have. And that's it for my January collection update video.
Yeah.
There will be one at the end of February because at this point I have already bought a lot. So we will have one for February. Be prepared for that because it's going to be a fun one. Foreshadowing. But until then, enjoy.
Alright, later.
Later, guys.